Focusing solely on the big stick of nuclear, the commodification of her Swamp 14, nuclear disasters, nerves and fantasies that secure subjectivity. Total nuclear war would destroy life on Earth cannot be anything but a fantasy. We still live with the fantasies of nuclear destruction. Phantasm of nuclear war triggers senseless capitalization of sophisticated apocalyptic imagery, a haunting from the future that comes from the global destruction of sustainable ecologies, and the athletes of real material violence at the center, no bullshit abstractions. That's Taylor 03. Conflict involving superpowers being haunted by the prospect of nuclear war, the bomb did not prevent participation in conventional wars, and reanimates the specter of nuclear weapons. Virtual warfare conducted in real-time images, missiles in flight on cable. These critiques establish military-industrial disembodiment, panoptical surveillance, devastation caused by cyber war using remote control for smart munitions, the illegitimacy and irreverence of anti-war activism, and the role of judges to engage in a critical interrogation of the president in the past. Only this can prevent the obstruction of possibility. The act comes before all else. That's Mouse 13. Addressing the past is through the specter is any rethinking of the past is a possibility in the future that depends on whether or not we live with ghosts. The resolution is not to abolish specters, but through another critical perspective of pedagogies that relies on eliminating the possibility. Ontology draws attention to specters. Ontology abolishes the concept of linear time as an ontological category of historical understanding. Societies come to terms with specters, reducing the schools and educators in particular. Critical interrogation of the present past is singularly complete reminds us that the past is incomplete because there's always elusive remnants that cannot be articulated with the language available to us. Advantage? India's revoking Article 370 of its own constitution, marked by the material shift of its colonial relationship with Kashmir. That's Abraham 19. The Nationalist BJP has implemented laws that entrench the use of purposes. The BJP draws on British colonial laws to crush the century for Kashmiris. The BJP revokes Article 370 of India's constitution to guarantee Jammu and Kashmir. Its own constitution makes freedom and freedom-making laws bars India outside from settling their Kashmir. Is rich in natural resources, opening the area up to investment by capitals. BJP has been eyeing for decades revoking Article 370's unilaterally taking away the right to Kashmiris to self-determination. Another colonial project in Indian military forces is really military delegations of vision in Kashmir to train Indian troops. They are living in a state of overwhelming dystopia where calls are being surveilled and security forces perpetuate a common fear. And that produces a reality of settler colonialism, a conception of private property onto space deemed suitable to occupy and marginal people existing for extermination. That's the same with Kashmir 19. Under cycle, the Indian state will start its plan to permanently settle Indian national state Kashmir, given the openly fascist nature of India's current regime violence is the desire that the Kashmiris will have no other avenue of resistance than to protect their threatened environment. Every step India takes is to erase oppress and make us invisible. And the settled reality of Kashmir is common than a nuclear militarism driven by the direct occupation through supremacy with nuclear weapons. That's Kochal 14. To quit military occupation of Kashmir, all parts of Kashmir should be returned unless India is Pakistan get rid of their nukes. There's no chance for the resolution of Kashmir. Denuclearization would lead to demilitarization of Kashmir that would result in to denuclearize the region. Pakistan and India would continue to retain their nuclear arsenals by sustaining the occupation of Kashmir during India. Claims ownership of Kashmir and then kills them to quell their freedom. And not only does India settler colonialism mark a planned ethnic cleansing for Kashmir, but also marks the promulgation of Kashmir decolonial resistance. That's Kamargar 19. Resistance has been destroyed throughout Kashmir. India is setting the stage for ethnic cleansing that would drive Muslim Sikh residents and replace it with Kashmiri settlers. Inspired resistance with Kashmiris leading the protests against these actors. Demonstrations are taking place across the world. Muslims are being segregated from areas for Hindus. And India's settler colonization of Kashmir is channeled through India's sovereign claims to the right to maim, a mechanism of necropolitical radicalization in which targets indigenous populations with violence does not corporally kill but maim. That's Zayah 19. India introduced polyguns in Kashmir as non-lethal polygons have injured 6,000 people. Mass binding began. The point of living death produced a debilitating population that appears as well as biological logic that will not let die, compromise their ability to survive physically, survive the horrors of face of death through loss. Violence becomes possible without accountability in Kashmir. Racialization constructed Muslim other Kashmir bodies constructed as deviant, as the Indian sovereignty is marked as killable. Thus, I affirm a ontological analysis of the colonial relationships of India and Kashmir through the elimination of their nuclear arsenals, check-in trips in cross-Crimean auto. I mean, independently vote AF right now. The EC is a form of counter-propaganda that's unique to my scholarship. Anything else generates anti-sacred Islamophobic action rhetoric. That's going on the key. The violence of Kashmir is epistemological as it is physical, reinforcing relationship between complicity. Many academics around the globe express their solidarity with JNU students and women that capture contradictions. Only voices worth solidarity were forgotten by the millions of Kashmiris, erasing the Kashmiri legacy, unable to apprehend Muslim political aspirations. Left anxieties about Kashmir, much to do with Sikh and Islam. The 2001 war on terror, anti-secular violence, misogynistic tropes deployed against Kashmiri struggle. Islam is erased with the logic of war and terror. Under view. AC debate first dismisses the dismissal of AC's discussion of violence against Kashmiris and mirrors the real world unwillingness to address Indo-Pak violence. Abstractions act as another restriction on information that weaponizes tools to use against your engagement voting. That's a voting issue. Your battle shift from critical discourse and education on material conditions of violence and critical education outweighs 1. Controls the internal link to fairness. Only net benefit from this activity. 2. Portable skills. Fairness is only used for 45 minutes where education is used for lifetime reasonability. The logic of repeating interpretations assumes an outdated conception of the argument evolution that ignores a swath of chaos that are predictable and contestable. This is a will to self-preservation that results in a non-unique limits explosion, competing interest with superior running theory with any marginal advantage that detracts from substance. It's also infinitely regressive to the race of the absurd rather than a race of Brahma of a legit range of interest that makes all the interest counter-interest responsive. And grant me the RV on advocacy skills. A, force them to determine their vision of debate, and B, if I'm really that abusive, they should just win their interest. That's key to in-depth discussions on in-depth discussions on one level of debate. And their attempt to any attempt to narcissistically police differences between technical blips actively makes us worse people, which is why which is the only portable skill we have from debate. There's no bright line for what limit is the baseline prerequisite for engagement. Limits evolve naturally over time to reflect a symbolic culture, but that's why there's a linear evolution in terms of emergence of new critical arguments. It's not hard to predict once you understand it. That turns any standards based any benefit gained from their models of debate will be reinvested into the framework of capital circulation. That's a link to the casework. They segment debate away from shared meaning of the mantra of neutrality and the doctrine that we don't really care about our arguments, which is why people come out of the debate as assholes. Cut it at assholes. You good?
Okay, fine. Hold on.
Assholes?
Yeah.
It's at the very bottom. You can control F ASS.
There's so many ASS's.
It's the very bottom.
Okay. Ah, okay, I found it. Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone good.
Everyone good? Cool.
3, 2, 1. Yeah. So, alright. If you were to paint yourself as an abstract painting, what colors and shapes would you pick?
I don't understand. Like, if I were to paint myself, I'm not good at art, like, at all. Like, I'm really bad. Like,
yeah.
I almost got a B in that. So, like,
okay. Well,
I really wouldn't suggest that you trust me.
Well, it's just a question.
I mean, if I had to paint myself, I would
Colors
just-
and shapes.
colors and shapes. I'd say, like, could they be 3-dimensional?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe, like, a blue cube.
Okay, cool.
That'd be pretty cool.
Alright, cool. That's fine.
Blue cube.
Okay.
Even
You
rhymes.
failed, but it's fine. Okay, so now onto the AC.
Sure, I guess that works.
Yeah, so onto the AC. Alright, cool. Can you explain the last argument on like? Okay, what do you mean by not all like interps or counter interps?
Sure, because the AC is putting, like,
No, what's the implication?
the implication.
Yeah.
It means you have to win an RBI.
So,
to justify your
so I have to win it. So if I read yes RBIs, I could win my interp.
I mean, you can make that argument.
Okay, well that's fine. See, on the AC debates, you talk about how it dismisses the AC's discussion of violence. So what does that mean it comes first?
Wait, I don't understand. Are you talking about the framework mechanism or
No,
the
the
other one?
underview. The first thing on AC debate first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. What about it?
Okay, so can you explain? Let's just explain that again.
Just explain the argument?
Yeah.
Sure. Do you want me to read it verbatim or
No,
just
no,
like
just
paraphrase?
explain, yeah,
Okay, sure. Whenever we talk about debate in general, it always turns into this game of like what can we up-layer to the most. The argument that I'm making is that focusing on the case debate increases the net educational experience because like you can read like an infinite number of interps or read an infinite number of different forms of like different arguments. That's fine if they interact with the case debate, but it's not a question of like what I violate per se. It's a question of how you interact with the scholarship.
Okay, cool, that's fine. What do you mean you say critical education outweighs what?
Outweighs fairness.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it controls the internal link to fairness, portable skills, fairness is only used for 45 minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Links.
On the reasonability stuff, is this just like a reasonability warrant?
I mean, yeah, that's why it's titled reasonability.
Okay. Alright. Can you explain this like ontological analysis? I see it last time. But
Wait, ontological or
ontological?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Are you talking about the plain text?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. The engagement of ontology is the use of specters. I think I explained this to you in class
Actually,
last time.
yeah.
But
So last time we debated, you said you don't defend the topic in the 2AR. Is that still the case, or do you defend the topic?
no, I'll actually. I think that the elimination of nuclear arsenals is a good idea. I do not
Okay.
fiat that it happens, but I think that it is a good idea.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
So you
answer.
think it's a good idea this time. Okay, that's fine. On to the. Can you explain the ZIA 19 evidence?
The what?
The ZIA 19 evidence.
Oh, sure. What about it? Like just paraphrasing?
Yeah.
Sure. So, indigenous populations are targeted to kill, i.e., people indigenous to Kashmir that have been living on there for centuries. The Indian government is now throwing nationals in there, and they're starting riots. Like, I don't know if you know about like the Tulsa riots in like the United States. It's quite similar there, except there's like no Black Wall Street. It's just like people mercilessly killing other people because of their religion, and it leads to segregation, apartheid, and different other impacts. I can go
Okay.
more in depth.
Cool. The order is 6 off case, sending the doc.
Okay. Are you starting anywhere particular on case?
Under.
Okay.
Doc is sent. Tell me whenever it gets up. Can you just stand?
Sure. Wait, actually, could you set because the second that you lift mine, the legs fall off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did everyone get the doc?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I need to download it.
Yeah, it's still,
Hmm?
I'm still opening it.
Okay.
Okay. Can you say the order again?
6 off case. Starting at the underview.
Yeah, I have the underview and the rest of the case file on different sheets. So.
Yeah, okay. 6 off in the underview. And then case. Alright, cool. Is everyone good?
Yep.
Regardless of the content of the debate, round vote down, retreat, obliges another manifestation of the debate's anti-blackness, non-black debaters reading Afro-Pessimism reduces blackness to an object. We will isolate 3, isolate dissent to the performance. Their interaction with Afro-Pessimism will always be A point, theoretical since they have no relevant experience. B point, redundant since they can never add anything to conversation. And C point, question, objectifying they have reduced blackness to an object of study. They have said that black people have no value of expecting to be academically rewarded for commodifying black suffering. You should vote them down and hold them accountable for bringing anti-blackness in the debate space. Here are the testimonies of 3 black kids in the activity who say what you do is messed up. That's Porter, Dixon, and Dacus in 19, the screenshots show. We contend that non-black debaters should not read Afro-Pessimism. Most black children like us believe that it is harmful to see around and where non-black debaters say that they are socially dead. Pre-fiat always, pre-fiat necessarily comes first because A point can be verified. You can downsell for bad practices. A point post-fiat doesn't exist. Fiat so illustrates a question of how we engage in debate, i.e. the ethicality of the norms, meaning that trusting dissent comes before any of their arguments or roll the best. And reps comes first, meaning that they should lose. In 1 point probability, there's 50% chance the argument is true, but there's a 100% chance that commodifying suffering is that 2 point reversibility. Once oppressive rhetoric is used and you cannot be taken back, you have already been anti-black. 3 point norm saying we are part of a larger debate community with extensive norm rewarding anti-blackness in these unspaced debates. 4 point competition debates beneficial activity with no place for racism to strike that kills access to lasting benefit debate provides. The reason I am reading this is because the number of black debaters have reduced, so this is uniquely key, and they're the one who told me to read this course. Now, non-black debaters should not be reading Afro-Pessimism when they appropriate blackness for their own ends. Evidence 15. Non-black debaters use pessimism to reduce blackness to a body or object focus on anti-blackness makes the black experience has no uniqueness with the object. Excuse the non-black debaters in the black body is positioned by the balance and was doing his position. Why Afro-Pessimism was just anti-blackness. Your engagement with the argument will always be theoretical, redundant, object. Under no circumstances, non-black debaters will advocate for Afro-Pessimism. Evidence 2. Non-black debaters use pessimism to reduce a black or slave to object. White pessimism and anti-blackness your engagement will always be theoretical and objectifying. Understanding the anti-black balance is foundational to understanding you have to fight back. Extend down the non-black debaters that have read Afro-Pessimism. All I have to do is win that they were anti-black once and that sufficient to vote them that they participated in the slave master's fantasy of being rewarded for saying that black people are socially dead. Determination of impact of non-black debaters reading Afro-Pessimism. Mass psychological bias of black kids were always told that they were dead and around performative slave masters. Second off, I have administered a Turing test and you failed. I administered a Turing test and you in 118 CX you failed. I refuse to debate against robots for the reasons of fairness and education. Brick, but now a flip Strider Stovall 12. Early attempts at the Turing test pointing out the promise of human perils, identify the keywords in human, and then responded by authors do not remember playing with their progress as last shreds with chatbots and complete the Turing test availability of terabytes of data or every conceivable topic of sophisticated techniques and technological brought evidence to the public eye with the defeat of 2 champion human consistent. Third off, overwhelming mathematical probability has contended that nothing has ever happened ever. Carol, a room full of monkey hating keys randomly on a typewriter will eventually bang out Hamlet, assuming typing is random and keeps up for a long time. time, replace your monkeys with a box of atoms with the opposite atoms randomly arranged into each other. Almost all the time they will be disordered. If you take a form of personalities or any sort of configuration, if you whole universe as you know it, just because you know the Mona Lisa doesn't mean it was actually painted by Leonardo, or overwhelming probability closes out a random motion. And the only way to account for our low entropy universe, Albert, universalize, maximize the entropy we live in an environment, and as much as possible, system should be focused on the equilibrium as much as possible. It is surprising that we find the universe has low entropy. We take the logical conclusion is elliptic, the fluctuation of constantly everything is your brain fluctuating briefly out of chaos and then immediately equilibrating back into chaos. Few impacts. 1 point. Terminal defense of that. All your evidence is based on inductive questions and empirical things that ultimately relies on the validation of how we were. Instead, we can be obligated to proactively change the status quo. 2 point. Prefer NC framework grounding knowledge and empirical facts because it assumes a linear concept throughout this SC. Only the NC relies purely on a priori facts. 4th off. The states use oppression to brainwash us into benefit feelings and obedience that promotes singularity regime. Right. The state can control our simple force for oppression of technique. The state can be controlled by the West by penetrating the population of each man. The state gain a sense of freedom. They experience emotion. They are taught to associate these happy feelings with the emotion that supports the state. They feel compelled to embrace morality. And the affirmative use of the state fails to acknowledge, reject legitimacy by Faulkner, Dean, Graham, and must be rejected. Right. Evil academia blocks at the time period and suppresses discussion and debate. You are an educated singularity idiot who can stupidly deny nature's harmonic 4 hours, 24 hours of every single day of rotation. Your mental ability comprehends the greatest social and scientific discovery that human existence as academic singularity. And ignorance of the time stream lobotomizes your mind, leading to singularity projection. This creates a cubeless android mentality, right? If ignorant time period academic or singularity has lobotomized, you're a slave by the word. You don't have a freedom to discuss time period academia. Destroys suppressing the opposite of you. You cannot think what you were taught. You have a psychological perspective and android mentality with Holocaust analytical ability. Affirming negates, paraphrasing Narma 06. Premise 1, the Athens truth ought to be case that states ought to eliminate arsenals. Premise 2 is that the state ought to eliminate arsenals only if they possess arsenals. This is because the standard logic necessitates voting out on the necessary condition. This premise 3, if the Athens truth and the Arctic case possess article, the logic problems if PQ then Q then N. 5th off. The role of the balance is determined by the resolution of true or false statement. Anything else moves 7 of the NC since that exasperates the infinite prep. You should be able to win for choosing the most logical thing. Over the player who chooses the most, the better player. Rejecting framing figures and law and inclusion. They exclude all office except for their visual specific and shuts down the resource to prepare for the balance is operating based on a topic and 5 dictionary to find negate the truth that affirms the proof that we choose, which means it's constituent jurisdictional. I deny the truth of the resolution by disagreeing with that. They're framing with them just like permissibility is the only thing case to do one problem, one instance to get that. 6th off. Interpretation of either debater proposed an explicit role of the ballot. The difference between convention truth model, they must indicate what advocacy or to accept one role of the ballot and delineate text in the 1AC validation of specified results and one resolvability absent applications is possible. To adjudicate when the debaters drive auction and coerce role of the ballots or separate method in separate way. These arguments are incomparable. The judge is forced to intervene resolvability is independent versus every argument the winner and loser, which means that Shell is prior strategy by not meeting these conditions make it possible for forming a strategy become unable to evaluate a mechanism strategies key to forming arguments engaging positions back over a policy action. They say the role of possible speech act that you lose my ability to engage in the new framing in the two in our fairness outweighs and as a voter 1 point there must be a ground to make the particular arguments and learn about the class 2 points and possible evaluate substance unfair economics. We don't know who to honestly the layer 3 by every competitive activity is a question of conception of fairness. Otherwise will determine the better cheater 4 way all your arguments can see the parties of fairness using your argument will be evaluated fairly when enter on finance point by fairness of prior activity effective dialogue and fairness versus large regardless on the flow besides unfair competing interpretation. 8 point reasonability is arbitrary. A 2 point reasonability collapses back into competing interpretation. Drop the barrier. 8 point deter future abuse. Be better your abuse that they were fairly studio evaluation of substance RBI. 8 point logic. You should win for being fair. On to the underview. Onto AC debate first. If I prove that my role at the ballot comes first, that means an individual reason for ratio. All the independent voters are reasons why they should automatically down and precludes the AC. Even if we push it, if we don't not want to push the discussion to buy, but if I can prove that it's a question of engagement or it's a question of that it doesn't happen in the first place, that's an individual reason that we can go on to critical education. Critical education assumes the validity of fairness in the first place, so that means fairness has to come first. You say it controls the internal link into fairness. This is incoherent arguments. We control the internal link. You say portable skills. No, foreign fairness is your everyday life. If you're a terrible person, you never be fair. You won't follow the law. Your reasonability stuff. No, the reasonability should only be through competing in terms of reasonability arguments are terrible because then you go, your prey will always be, and you can be super on non-topic on your competing interpretation stuff. The thing you say that negatives or countertips are a really, really bad argument because that means I can never be able to win any attack into because I always have to justify an RBI. You say Grammy and RBI and accuracy, no, you don't. No, RBIs are contextual to logic and logic outweighs because the way we actually get to these arguments. I talked about how police differences in technical blips. No, there's no bright line on what a technical blip is. The whole argument is that we need to be able to debate based off the flow. It's impossible to do this, and you should already devalue the debate should be over by the NC due to the entity trusting this in the first place. So there's no bright line for the limit of this like technical flow stuff.
Good for cross?
Yeah.
When was the last time I read Afro-pessimism?
The question isn't whether when
no,
the last
just
time.
I know it doesn't matter. Like
I do not know, but that wasn't the question. The question was the screenshot was on your wiki.
No, I'm just asking you. Like, if I've ever read Afro-pessimism, then that automatically means that like what the implication is true.
Well, yes, that's the argument. That's what people are saying. That's what
okay,
people.
But
that's what black debaters.
When was the last time I read?
I'm pretty sure you read it at Isidore against one of my teammates.
Wait, what?
I think you did. I'm I'm not sure. But on your wiki, it specifically talks about this topic that you're reading it. It's
Wait,
on
so
the wiki.
since I talked about Afro-pessimism 2 months ago, I link it to the shell.
It's not a shell, but yes.
Wait, no, sorry, 4 months ago that I automatically linked. So like, if I've ever read an argument about anti-blackness, then I will forever have to lose it.
Yes, because the point, no, we're not saying you have to like apologize for some point. We talked to black debaters about this before the round, and that's what their interpretation is. And then I'm spreading the message because there's such few of them left in the debate space that I have to like spread the message for them.
Oh wow, that's very condescending. All right, so let's talk about the
They asked
second
me
argument.
to, so I.
Sure. Let's talk about the Turing test implication. What does this mean?
Yeah, so the Turing test implication says you're a robot, and it's unfair for me to debate against a robot.
Okay. Hold up. I'm interested.
Yep.
What particularly makes me the robot?
That you failed the Turing test.
Yeah, but what in the Turing test makes me a robot?
Yeah, so I asked you the question specifically, like if you had to paint yourself as if you have to paint yourself as an abstraction with shapes and colors, what you did, you say a blue cube. The blue cube did not pass the Turing test.
All right, that's fine. Wait, do robots ever make mistakes?
We would say, yeah, robots can make mistakes.
But you just said that if debating
It's
a robot
unfair.
is unfair.
Yeah,
So I mean,
but-
if robots can make mistakes, then why is it unfair?
What? Okay, yeah, the argument is that A, you're faster, B, I don't know who you are, I don't know what type of brain you have in your head, it's impossible for me to know all this stuff. I'm supposed to be debating a human, but if I'm debating a robot, that's bad.
Funny. Let's go into the third off.
Yep.
You say overwhelming mathematical probability means nothing's ever happened.
Yep.
Could you elaborate?
Yeah, so the Carroll evidence does a really good job of explaining this, right? So if monkeys were randomly slamming on a keyboard, they will eventually type up Hamlet, right? So that means that like random probability of atoms have created this world as it is.
So like,
Nothing exists. We would say like nothing has ever happened.
wait. So then, if nothing exists, how am I a robot?
It's nothing has ever happened.
Wait. So then, if nothing's ever happened, how can robots be created?
What?
If nothing's ever happened, how can robots be created? Stop acting confused and answer the question.
I'm very confused by the question. The argument is that nothing's ever happened. That's just what I'm saying.
So then, how could robots be created?
Yeah, but we're just saying you are a robot.
Fourth off. Let's talk about the premise. Actually, no. Let's talk about the affirming negate stuff. Is that
the Norma evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is paraphrasing evidence good?
You can read what paraphrasing evidence is bad. Sure.
No, I'm asking you why it's good.
Yeah, so that I don't have, so I can make the arguments analytically after reading an article. I'm like, okay, I learned this from an article, and now I can explain what it is. If you want to say that, if you want to delete the paraphrasing with Norma stuff and then just read the premises, that's fine.
I'm sorry. What did you say about KFs on the third off?
What do you mean?
You said something. You cross-applied something from the third off to case. What was it? prep 28.
Is it in doc?
No new cards.
What's the order?
It's gonna go overview to case,
Hmm?
offs.
Sorry, and I'm pulling the underview separately, so is it both?
Oh,
Case
no.
separately or-
Then it's gonna go just case
Okay.
proper, overview to that. Then after that, the offs in
Okay.
order that they were read. And with cross applications to the underview, I'll be very clear about where I'm at. And then a new off before I go directly into case.
So overview, offs in order, view off, AC again.
Yeah.
Can you send a new off?
It's here. Fun.
Just a way to say what the nature of it is.
It's a shell.
So I thought. Seems legit.
Wait, do you still want me to resend it?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna send it in the body if that's good with y'all.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so.
I'll
Let me know
check
when
it
you're
out.
ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
Are we all good?
No. Okay, yeah, I'm good.
Here's what your ballot does. Two independent voting issues they conceded. Firstly, the reading of the 1AC is a form of counter-propaganda that indicates all case offense against the advantage by saying that their scholarship is skewed. And B, it's the only portable knowledge that we can get from this activity creating change that's Control 19 conceded to. The role of the judge posits the sequencing question specifically for adjudicators in educational spaces, which means that the case comes before all else, as we have to interrogate the debate is prior to conforming to any norms, which means understanding other epistemologies. That's symbolize 13 and on the offs in order. Starting on the first off, one counter interpretation. The affirmative may read after pessimism. The counter interpretation I need if I haven't read after pessimism in 4 months. Two. And here's the standard. Firstly, is infinitely regressive. Just because I read out for pessimism one time at Holy Cross doesn't make it necessary. One time at Holy Cross doesn't necessarily mean that I advocate for that position. Later, for the past 5 months, I haven't, which means that there's a ludicrous byline. Secondly, it's a tokenization. Just that you say black people, I speak for black people, and therefore co-opt what they say. Even if black people told you that even if black people told you should be the shell, doesn't mean that you should always go for it. And lastly, what you said was racist. During cross you were just like you would after pass against my teammate in Iceberg. No, I didn't. That was war. That was a historical analysis about how black people were treated, not that every black person is socially dead, which takes out all the standards. Second off, there's a double bind on the robots stuff. The robots make mistakes with unfair, or B, they don't make mistakes, which means that I haven't, which means I can't lose a run, but I did, which means either of them don't prove I'm a robot. Let's go to the third off. Starting on the third off, the one that leads to starting on the third off one. The ontological analysis allows us to engage in how these abstract patterns form. How abstract patterns form. Second, this is all contingent upon induction, but induction is good. It leads to empirical circumstances and how we can predict future events. Also, that also takes out the grounding mechanism. Regardless, that this would degrade into nihilism because everyone would think that nothing else matters, which would lead into anarchy. Now, fourth off. Starting on the fourth off, this also degrades into nihilism because it says that state action can never be good, but the state action can never be good. But look at the rate evidence. One, it's all in context of the United States, which means that you shouldn't, which means it's not applicable to the 1C. There's no way to the two. Even if you don't buy that, we're saying that they haven't disproved the solvency mechanism for why it's good, which means that the solvency mechanism, which means that we outweigh specificity on affirming negates. One, the premise is using causal logic is also infinitely regressive and takes out most of their offense. Most of their offense. If everything negates, and then if everything boils down to negating, then no one would be able to do anything because it's a question of presumption, which means that insofar as the AC is doing something in the solvency plan, the solvency mechanism and the plan are still intact. That takes out the fourth off on the roll of valid. I'm just going to go for the shell on the roll of valid. You can cross by the offense. Interrupt all arguments related to the affirming and negating a plan means that it needs to be consistent with the comparative world paradigm violation. Every two testing standards. One is you grab the strats through there, impose absolute proof on us, makes it functioning infinite ground through skeptical arguments and logical tautologies. Comparative worlds is one burden structure that makes it a bit better understanding. All two, as advocacy skills, their interval leads to defensive offense. They'll never so they never have an active advocacy since voters. That's voters since we need to advocate for solutions and mess up things in the world, which is what the affirmative is doing. That you can cross by fairness of voter debates, giving these rules to evaluate it. And of course, by education is why schools fund debate. They'll try going line by line on the role of algebra. All you need to know is, insofar as it is a general thesis, we've proven that the F is true due to lack of contestation on the case debate, which means that even under comparative worlds paradigm, we beat them. And 6 off. Counter-interpretation, I need one, the role of the judge is explicit, theirs is specific to the role of value, which means that the counter-interpretation converse, if there's a role of the judge which solves all their offense, and you say it's a question of resolvability, but yes, the role of the judge still operates as a framing mechanism. Second, the Strat's argument is not applicable because the role of the judge still gives a way mechanism for how to determine the round. On the fairness arguments, you say fairness comes first. Firstly, the ground doesn't matter insofar if we don't get critical pedagogy, which outweighs all of their offense at A on magnitude basis. It's the only thing that we can use the real world B crossed by the pre-field offense. That takes up most of the way arguments. 3, even if you don't buy that, you say it's impossible to come to a decision, but it's not in your jurisdiction as an educator to disregard critical pedagogy. That was the FAS 13 evidence.
Okay, 4 minutes, starting now. What was the tokenization you said?
What?
What was the tokenization you said?
Oh, in the first off?
Yep.
Here, let me get to the phone. Oh, yeah. It's a tokenization. You say that you speak for all black people in the debate activity, saying that this is for all black people in the debate activities. Just because 3 black debaters advocate for it doesn't mean that the entire community does.
Alright.
And you also use them as props, saying like, look, these people totally give me permission.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's not. That's why you made the tokenization step.
What were the independent voting issues? What were the 2 independent voting issues that you started off with?
Oh, and the top layer stuff?
Yeah.
Here. One, counter propaganda argument that was conceded.
What was
2,
the
the role of the judge that was conceded.
Okay. Cool. order is truth testing the shell, the first off. After truth testing, there'll be an extension of the McNarma evidence and what is it called? And something in the roll box.
True testing shell first off.
Is everything good? Rich, you good? Okay. The truth testing debate was severely mishandled by the 1AR. I'm going to go for it right now. You can see that the truth testing, the rule of the balance, the resolution, the true or false statement, the rule of the judge all terminates back into the rule of the ballot because the rule of the judge is contingent on voting on either after next. That means you have to vote on the ballot, and the ballot only says you have to vote after next. That means all your rule of the judge ballots just collapse back into truth testing. That means the truth testing is acquired. Primary question. I'm going for the constitutionalism war. This goes completely conceded. Here's the argument: truth testing is only rule of the ballot constitutional activity, which means that the game can physically not function absent, i.e. absent 3 strikes against baseball. You're no longer playing baseball, which means that the truth testing is fundamental to the activity. This means that you have conceded that you vote affirmative based on a predetermined resolution, which means that I concede that you vote affirmative to prove the truth and negate means to deny the truth, which means that this outweighs and turns your role of the judge. This is the A point. Even if there are pragmatic reasons why they prefer your role of the judge, there is not a war on why we should use them, since you're no longer engaging with the debate activity, which means that it is contrary to your usage debate as an avenue to change, which turns the role of the ballot. B point. Even if truth testing that the judge is descriptively bound to it, you've conceded the authority of the game when you've entered the round, which means you ask the question. In order to play the game, you've agreed to its rules. Since even if the rules about that begs the question of an out-of-round advocacy. Point. You can see the constituents that interlink the jurisdiction, which means that the debate becomes a binary question of whether the judge should vote for you or not. After the jurisdiction and constituent of the judge has the ability to hack for you, hack against you, and hack against your scholarship just because they want to. That's not a question whether the judge do this question, whether these questions whether it's good to do. Now I'm going for the inclusion stuff as well. The inclusion argument was also severely mishandled. It was actually straight up concluded. They exclude all offense except there, which follows this, which shuts out the people without the resources to prepare. Here's the argument: every role of the ballot besides truth testing allows the personalized debaters to factor in the decision and come out and talk about who's more oppressed. Ask yourself how many times you've heard debaters be able to talk about this. This should prove that our role of the ballot comes first. So that means that the role of the ballot comes first. They can see constitutionalism. I'm going to quickly extend offense on it, and then after I extend offense on it, I will to answer the shell. So you've conceded I denied the truth of the resolution by disagreeing with the affirmative. This was in the 1NC speech doc. You should be able to you should read it, but that's an individual reason that automatically negates. But I'm also going to go for I'm also going to go for the McNarma evidence. The McNarma evidence is the Good Samaritan paradox. Your answer to this was condo logic, but condo logic is not a sufficient answer. Your B point was that you talked about how it's a fairness claim and how it's completely unfair that we always negate, but that's not the argument. You just answer to the Good Samaritan paradox. The argument is that if you want to solve X problem, you must want X problem to exist in the first place. So that means it turns to F because that serves as a cruel optimism to set to the entirety of the frame because you're trying to solve something, but you're actually not solving it. So now, one truth testing. Truth testing was pretty much fundamentally conceded. I'll answer the shell now. Counter-interpretation, I'll defend the violation that I can read truth testing. I'll classify all the independent reasons why truth testing is good, classify the constituent warrant and the inclusion warrant. I'll also classify the fiat illusory warrant right here because that means nothing is around other than the result of the ballot, which means that all your Norman claims that you're going to try to go for the 2AR I'll cut out of the debate space. You've also conceded the logic argument that the only thing that we're given to before round is that you've also conceded the only thing we're given before round is that resolutions. That means our resolution always on predictability. That insofar as you've conceded the entirety of truth testing, that means you agree with truth testing. That means this shell is legitimately incoherent. But now I'll answer the standards. First, I'll grade my own standards. 8-point ground. This truth testing increases the equal amount of ground insofar as you completed inclusion. That means everything matters under truth testing. So that's an individual reason you prefer. There's 2 points reciprocity. That since everything matters under truth testing, that means it is the most reciprocal. So now I'll answer this line by line on the ground. 8-point turn view. Decrease the amount of ground. You say that the comparative rule is a 1-to-1 burden. No, it's not. That means it'll always favor the debater that has more proper and more world. But truth testing, it does not have it. You say that there's infinite ground. The unskeptical arguments, but you can also read infinite amount of a priori. That means it's not individually uniquely key to be able to answer. On your advocacy skills, all the way you turn, you decrease the amount of advocacy skills because comparative worlds. Not advocate. You can just read a world. You can just defend the status quo. So that means you're not advocating for anything. The 2 points we increase advocacy skill because under truth testing you have to advocate whatever position negates or falls under truth testing discussion. If you go for advocacy skills, that just means the individual reason on why this comparative world decreases it. And next, I'm just going to go for overview claims on truth testing takes out theory, multiple arguments. 8 points, the only thing that's given before the round is the resolution. You can see that. So insofar the resolution is the only thing that's given the round, that means that it automatically precludes the theoretical layer. So that's an individual reason why you should reject it. 2 point, the inclusion argument, isomorphism argument is talked about how you have to keep it as scalar. And this theory debate allows the scalars to be even more talked about. So so the interpretation, there's no reason on why the interp comes first, but now I will go for the first off. The problem with your answers to the first off, the answers to the first off were terrible. I'm gonna go. You, as an anti-black debate, a non-black debater, cannot read anti-blackness. No, I'll answer the first off. You read a counter-interpretation. This isn't a shell. This serves as a pre-fiat letter and methodology that you should not do. You say that the last time you read it was a long time ago. That means it's an individual reason that you should stop it. But the point is, you calling even the black community is supposed to set a norm for everyone. You're not supposed to be reading these arguments. These arguments are terrible. You can see almost all this stuff. You can see that theoretically they have you reading these arguments are really bad because you have no relevant experience to be talking about this. Even if you read it in the past, you should still be punished for it. That's like saying if someone got away with murder a long time ago, that they don't get away with murder, and then you catch them later, they shouldn't be punished for it. That means there's an individual reason to refer. You just say that I tokenize them and speak for all black people. The point is, they told me to read this. They said that what you did was an anti-black act of violence. So that's an individual reason I prefer. You've also conceded that it's their acts that are anti-black. That means you should have evaluated debate after that and see that's not an inferior argument. You say that any answer to the affirmative saying that I could read anti-blackness is a really bad argument because that concedes that you agreed that you did something really, really bad. I'll answer this tokenization stuff. You say that I act like I speak for everyone. No, I'm just acting for the people who agree with it. So insofar as that you read it, and these three people disagree, that means you should lose because they read anti-blackness a lot. So that means you should probably err toward them. You say that historical analysis change, you won't be always punished for it, but the argument is that you've never been punished for it in the first place, and you've never said apologize to any of them. So insofar as you've never apologized, you should be able to do it. I'm gonna go for specific evidence on here. You can see pre-reps come first, maybe they have a chance of losing. You can see the probability. I mean that there's 50% chance as to that there's a 100% chance that commodifying suffering is bad. This goes straight conceded. You've also conceded the reversibility claim that was an oppressive rhetoric is you cannot be taken back. I'm gonna extend this Porter, Zion, and Dakin evidence. This evidence was really, really good. It talked about how they felt uniquely bad of you reading this evidence. So insofar as that these come as a prior question to any of the independent voting issues, because independent voting issues require you to win the app.
Wait, did you ever go on Colt?
Huh? No.
Alright. I had 28. Give me 1 second. Wait, time's running now. First off, case. On case, it's going to go the framework, and then after that, voters. We all good? Damning concessions in this round, two things on the first off. Firstly, they conceded that it's infinitely regressive. Just because I read something once during Holy Cross doesn't necessarily mean I should be punished for it now. They make the murder analogy, but this is horrible because I never read it afterwards, which means that this is not a lexically prior claim. They make no reasons why I should lose for it right now. Second was the racism diss that they straight conceded and is an independent voting issue. They said during that I read Afro-pessimism against their novice debater at Isidore Newman, but I read Warren. That was a historical analysis, which means that's racist because they say that all anti-blackness literature is all the same, which means that's equivalent to saying all black people look the same. Because Ward is verbatim critiques Wilderson's analysis in his books Ontological Terror, Political Nihilism, and Political Nihilism, and Onticide, all of which conclude the thesis that if you're going to vote anybody down on being racist in this debate, it should be the one I see. But even if you don't buy that, or even if you don't buy the infinitely racist stuff, both of them were conceded. It doesn't matter insofar as the last argument I'm going to go for as a tokenization argument. They say they told you to read this, but that's not the argument I'm making. I'm saying that you don't speak for the entire black community whenever it comes to different debaters reading Afro-pessimism. I'm still affected by anti-blackness, even though I still dish it out, which means that I read Afro-pessimism once because I thought it was interesting, but after that I knew it was problematic. Look, if you think I'm racist as hell, fine, vote me down. But the conceded offense on this flow is just too damning, because if you're gonna at least give us the double down, because the racism dissent still applies to them. If you still think after 4 months and me not reading it is bad, then that's fine. Vote me down. Let's go to the case debate. I'm going to go for the pre-fiat layer. This is independently the reason why you vote right here, right now, because, yeah, you're right. On the first off, I completely agree that this is a question of pre-fiat, but insofar as I beat them at the independent voting issues, you're voting out right now. There were two conceded ones that I'm going to go for. The first one is the act of being counter-revolutionary. That was the Cargill 19 evidence. That was straight conceded. It shows that our solvency mechanism is independent. They illusory and that we should extend in truth testing, but none of that matters insofar as I've won these two independent voting issues, because that assumes that the framework mechanism is under truth testing, but these operate independent of any framework, because firstly it says that it's your job as critical educators to include this type of pedagogy. So regardless of whether or not truth testing allows for it, it doesn't matter, because all of this offense was conceded. The two and all made this a very messy debate, but I'll clarify for you in this round, because this independently outweighs on any other flow, even independently outweighs any other flow. They'll say that the role, they'll try to post-trend you saying that the role of the judge classifies as a framework, but this operates independent of that. It says that you as judges have the ability to control the information that comes in and out of this round and the information that we use. This allows us to become activists and engage in different formats. They'll try even if you don't think that you'll use this information outside of the round, the awareness arguments that we made with the College 19 evidence, saying that scholars frequently engage in propaganda, means that the one I see has engaged in an act of enlightenment. So like, look. One, the racism stuff, give me the double down if you really believe it. Second, even if you don't buy that, the independent voting issues for counter-propaganda were straight conceded. This is independently why you affirm, regardless of truth testing.